They underestimated the rookie nurse, until snipers stormed in and she moved like a seal. The hallway on the fourth floor of Chicago Memorial Hospital had that characteristic smell of disinfectant mixed with reheated coffee. Maya Rodriguez pushed the medication cart with precise, almost military movements, though no one there noticed. To them, she was just another rookie nurse trying to fit in. "Hey, rookie!" Brenda's shrill voice cut through the air. The veteran nurse, her 15 years of experience etched on her weary face, blocked Maya's path with her robust body. "You forgot to restock the supplies in room 412 again. What kind of training did you even get?" Maya took a deep breath, counting to 5 in her head. "Sorry, Brenda. I'll do it now." "Of course she will." Brenda rolled her eyes at the other nurses, watching the scene from the central station. "Girls, can you believe this is the 3rd time this week? I wonder how she passed nursing school." Muffled laughter echoed down the hallway. Maya gripped the stroller handle tighter than she intended, her knuckles turning white. 6 months. It had been 6 months since she'd started there, and the treatment wasn't improving. Dr. Harrison hurried past, his white coat billowing. "Rodriguez, I need those lab results for patient 408. Where are they?" "They still haven't arrived from the lab, doctor. I called 10 minutes ago to—" "I don't care about your excuses. I need them now." He slammed the clipboard against the counter and headed for the operating room, leaving Maya standing there, feeling the judgmental stares on her. Jennifer, the only nurse who occasionally showed any sympathy, approached discreetly. "Don't mind them, dear. Everyone goes through this at the beginning." "I know." Maya forced a smile that didn't reach her brown eyes. If only they knew. If only they could imagine that the hands now changing bandages had once carried sniper rifles on classified missions in the Middle East. But that was precisely the point. Nobody could know. The afternoon dragged on in an endless succession of belittled tasks and passive-aggressive comments. During the lunch break, Maya sat alone in the cafeteria, nibbling on a tasteless sandwich while reviewing medical records on her tablet. "Look, the lone nurse is studying." Marcus's voice, one of the younger nurses, had that tone of feigned concern. "Need help, newbie? I can explain how a thermometer works if you want." The laughter from the next table made Maya clench her jaw. She continued staring at the screen, refusing to give them the satisfaction of a reaction. What none of them knew was that Maya Rodriguez wasn't just a clumsy rookie nurse. 3 years ago, she was Petty Officer First Class Rodriguez, one of the few women in the United States Navy Special Forces. She had jumped from planes in the middle of the night, navigated hostile territory, and executed missions that would never appear in any official report. But all that changed. On a mission to Kandahar, Maya shook her head, pushing away the memories that still haunted her. She had chosen this new life deliberately. After all she had seen and done, she wanted to save lives in a different way, without weapons, without violence. Just care, compassion, and medicine, even if it meant swallowing our pride every day. "Rodriguez," Brenda's voice echoed through the cafeteria. "Your break ended 5 minutes ago. Get back to work." Maya checked her watch. There were still 3 minutes left, but she didn't say anything. She simply gathered her things and went back to the 4th floor. The rest of the afternoon was a haze of routine procedures, checking vital signs, administering medication, changing sheets, comforting frightened patients. It was in this last part that Maya truly excelled, though no one seemed to notice. Mrs. Chen, in room 415, always relaxed when Maya entered. "You have gentle hands," she would say in her heavily accented English, "unlike the others." "Thank you, Mrs. Chen." Maya carefully adjusted the elderly woman's pillows. "How are you feeling today?" "It's better when you're here." The woman held Maya's hand with frail fingers. "You have something special. I see it. Others don't see it, but I do." Maya smiled genuinely for the first time that day. Patients like Mrs. Chen were the reason she kept going. They reminded her why she had made this painful transition. At 6:45 p.m., Maya was organizing supplies in the supply closet when she Overheard Jennifer talking to another nurse in the hallway. I don't understand why she's still here. 6 months, and she's still making the most basic mistakes. Maybe there are connections. You know how it is these days. It's not about competence anymore. Maya closed her eyes, breathing slowly. In the Navy, she had learned to control her emotions under extreme pressure. This was nothing compared to being under enemy fire, but somehow it hurt more. When her shift finally ended at 7:30 p.m., Maya changed out of her blue scrubs into jeans and a simple blouse in the locker room. She avoided the mirror, not wanting to see the tiredness in her own eyes. "Good evening, Rodriguez." Dr. Harrison walked past her without really looking. "Try to arrive on time tomorrow, okay?" She had arrived 15 minutes early, as she always did, but there was no point in arguing. The parking lot was nearly empty when Maya walked to her used Honda Civic. The Chicago night was cold for March, the wind biting in from the lake. She was almost in the car when her phone vibrated. It was a message from an unknown number. "Maya, this is Commander Torres. We need to talk. It's about what happened in Kandahar." Her heart raced. She hadn't heard that name in 3 years. With trembling hands, Maya deleted the message and got into her car, locking the doors quickly. She had left that life behind. No matter what Torres wanted, she wasn't coming back. As she drove through the brightly lit streets of Chicago toward her small apartment in Lincoln Park, Maya had no idea that in less than 24 hours, the entire past she had been trying to bury would resurface in a way she could never have imagined. And all those who looked down on her would see exactly who Maya Rodriguez really was. Maya woke up at 5:30 a.m., as she always did. Old military habits were hard to break. She ran 8 kilometers along Lake Michigan while the city still slept, her feet tapping on the pavement in a steady, meditative rhythm. Running was when the memories tormented her the most. Flash, the Kandahar desert, dust in his mouth, the weight of 50 pounds of equipment on his back. Flash, Commander Torres's voice in his headset. "Team Bravo, you have the green light. I repeat, green light." Flash, the look of betrayal on the face of Amir, the local translator, when everything went wrong. Maya increased her pace, as if she could leave the memories behind. Her VA therapist, Veterans Affairs, said she had classic PTSD, but Maya refused medication. She had seen too many veterans lose themselves in pills. Back in her apartment, she took a cold shower, another military practice, and put on her clean scrubs. While having coffee, she checked her phone. Another message from an unknown number. "I know you saw my previous message. This isn't a request, Maya. It's a matter of national security. Please get in touch." With steady fingers, she blocked the number. Torres no longer had power over her. She had been honorably discharged, all her records had been sealed, and she had begun a new life. The hospital was particularly busy when Maya arrived at 6:45 a.m. A bus accident during the early morning hours had filled the emergency room, and nurses from all floors were being called in to help. "Rodriguez!" Head nurse Sarah Mitchell waved to her from the central station. "I need you in the emergency room for the next 2 hours. They're overwhelmed." "Yes, ma'am." Maya grabbed her ID and hurried down the stairs. She never used the elevator when she could avoid it. Another military quirk. The emergency room was a controlled chaos. Patients on stretchers filled the corridors, anxious family members crowded near the doors, and the cacophony of medical alarms created a symphony of urgency. "You, rookie!" Dr. James Chen, the head of the emergency department, pointed at Maya. "I need you in trauma room 2, now!" Maya ran into the room, where a young Latino boy of about 16 years old lay on a stretcher, his abdomen covered in blood. A team was already working on him, but they were losing the battle. "Abdominal gunshot wound went through the liver," the resident doctor shouted over the noise. "Her blood pressure is dropping fast." Maya positioned herself automatically, her hands moving with a precision that surprised the resident. She anticipated each instrument before it was asked, maintained exact pressure where needed, and remained completely calm while others around her began to panic. "Who are you?" the resident asked, impressed. I've never seen you work like this. Nurse Rodriguez, sir, from the 4th floor. Well, you should be down here. Those hands are wasted up there. 40 minutes later, the boy was stabilized and on his way to surgery. Maya wiped the blood from his arms, her mind automatically compartmentalizing the trauma she had just witnessed. It was a skill she had honed in combat zones. Good job in there. Jennifer appeared beside her, offering a clean towel. Where did you learn to work under pressure like that? Maya shrugged. Just training, I guess. It's not just training. You have something different, a calmness, as if... Jennifer paused, searching for the words. As if you've seen worse. More than you can imagine, Maya thought, but she just smiled. Let's get back to work. The rest of the morning passed in a blur of activity. Maya was back on the 4th floor, resuming her normal duties, when Brenda decided to start again. I heard you made an impression in the emergency room. There was venom in his voice. I hope it didn't go to your head. Anyone can look good in an emergency when they're lucky. It wasn't luck, Jennifer interjected, surprising everyone. She knew exactly what she was doing. Brenda stared at her. Since when do you defend incompetent newcomers? She is not It's okay, Jennifer. Maya gently touched the other nurse's arm. It's not worth it. But for the first time, Maya saw something. In Jennifer's eyes, curiosity, questioning, as if she were beginning to realize that there was more to Maya than met the eye. At 2:30 p.m., Maya was helping Mrs. Chen walk down the hallway when she heard loud voices coming from the reception area. I told you that you need to evacuate this floor now. A man in a dark suit was arguing with hospital security. Maya felt a shiver run down her spine. There was something about the man's posture, the way he scanned the room with his eyes. Military. Training recognizes military training. Any threat? She murmured to Jennifer, who had approached. Probably another crazy person saying they have a bomb. It happens once a month. But Maya didn't think it was just that. Her instincts, honed by years of operations where one mistake meant death, were screaming that something was wrong. She helped Mrs. Chen back to her room and then discreetly approached the reception desk. The man in the suit was now speaking urgently on the phone. They're not taking it seriously, yes, sir. I understand. 15 minutes? That's not enough time for... Maya felt her stomach sink. She knew that tone. It was the sound of someone receiving orders they knew were impossible to carry out. Before I could process any more, the elevator doors opened and 3 men stepped inside. They were dressed in normal clothes, jeans, jackets, but there was something too rehearsed about their movements. They spread out across the lobby with military precision, and then Maya saw it, a glimpse of metal beneath the jacket of the nearest man. Everyone on the ground! The 3 men shouted simultaneously as they drew their automatic weapons. This is a robbery! No one move! The lobby erupted in screams. Patients and visitors threw themselves to the floor. Nurses crouched behind the central station. But Maya didn't move. Her training had taken over before her conscious brain could process it. She was assessing threats, counting adversaries, mapping out exits. 3 tangos at the main entrance. Probably more at the other exits. Heavy weaponry, at least AR-15s. Improvised bulletproof vests under jackets. Coordinated movement suggesting military or paramilitary training. One of the men noticed Maya was still standing. Hey! You there! I said on the ground! He pointed the gun directly at her, and at that moment Maya Rodriguez had to make a choice. She could lower herself, revert to being the invisible rookie nurse, and let these men control the situation. Or she could stop pretending. Their eyes met, and something about them made the man hesitate. There was a coldness there, a complete absence of fear that he hadn't expected from a frightened nurse. You don't want to give me that gun? Maya said calmly, her voice cutting through the chaos. That would make things easier for everyone. The shooter blinked, confused for a second. And in that second of hesitation, 3 years of suppressed training exploded to the surface. Maya moved. What happened in the next 3 seconds would defy explanation for anyone observing. Maya closed the 5-meter distance between herself and the shooter in less than a second and a half. Her movement was so quick and fluid that it seemed impossible. An explosion of speed honed through years of hand-to-hand combat in special forces. The gunman started to pull the trigger, but Maya had already dodged to the side, using her forearm to deflect the gun barrel upwards. The shot pierced the ceiling, sending plaster dust raining down on everyone. Before he could react, Maya had pressed her elbow against the man's trachea with calculated force, strong enough to incapacitate, but not to kill. Her other hand executed a twisting motion on the weapon that any Navy hand-to-hand combat instructor would instantly recognize. The AR-15 fell to the ground. Maya kicked it away. The sniper tried to counterattack, but he was fighting someone who had trained with the world's best special operators. Maya used his own momentum against him, applying a jiu-jitsu technique that sent him spinning to the ground. 3 seconds. That's all it took. The second gunman reacted, turning his weapon toward Maya. "Don't move, or I'll shoot." Maya was already moving again. She used a nearby chair as a shield, throwing it toward the shooter as she rolled to the side. The man fired, but the bullets lodged in the chair. In one fluid movement, Maya emerged from the roll, grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall, and threw it with military precision. It struck the sniper squarely in the chest, knocking him down. "Who the hell are you?" the third gunman yelled, his weapon trembling as he tried to aim at Maya, who now moved like a ghost among the lobby furniture. "Someone you definitely don't want to confront." Maya's voice was calm, almost conversational, even as she mapped out her next move. The entire lobby was in stunned silence. Brenda, Jennifer, Dr. Harrison, patients, visitors, all frozen in shock, watching the clumsy rookie nurse dismantle an armed attack as if it were a routine military operation. The third gunman began to back away toward the elevator. "Keep your distance. I swear that you're not going to shoot." Maya took a step toward him, her hands relaxed at her sides. "Because if you wanted to shoot, you would have already done it. You're not here to kill people. This is a robbery, right? You want money, or maybe medicine from the hospital pharmacy?" The man's eyes widened. How had she figured that out? "So here's what's going to happen," Maya continued, her voice with that commanding tone she'd used hundreds of times on the battlefield. "You're going to put that gun down slowly. Then you're going to lie face down with your hands behind your head. The police will arrive in..." She glanced at her watch. "Approximately 2 minutes, based on the average response time for this precinct. If you cooperate now, this is just armed robbery. If you resist, this becomes attempted murder of a federal officer." "You're not a cop," he spat. Maya smiled coldly. "Did I say police?" Something about the way she said it, the absolute authority, the unwavering confidence, broke the man's will. The gun fell to the floor with a metallic thud. On the ground. "Now." He obeyed. Maya moved quickly, using plastic patient identification strips from the nursing station to tie the 3 men's hands behind their backs. An improvisation any special operator would appreciate. It was only when the adrenaline started to subside that Maya realized what she had just done. The entire charade of the last 3 years had ended in less than 2 minutes. "Someone call hospital security and 911, informing them that the threat has been neutralized," Maya said, her voice returning to the professional tone of a nurse. "We need medical teams here to assess everyone for shock and injuries." Nobody moved. Everyone was staring at her as if she were an alien. "Now!" the military command in. His voice spurred them into action. Jennifer was the first to recover, picking up the phone with trembling hands. Brenda was speechless, completely at a loss for words for the first time since Maya had known her. Dr. Harrison stood up slowly, his face pale. "Rodriguez, how did you..." "Not now, doctor." Maya was checking on an elderly patient who had fallen during the chaos. "Sir, can you tell me your name?" Sirens could already be heard outside. The cavalry was arriving as it always did. Too late to make a difference, but in time to ask the tough questions. And Maya knew exactly what kind of questions were coming. The main entrance doors burst open. A dozen Chicago police officers entered, weapons drawn, shouting contradictory commands. "Everyone on the ground! Hands where I can see them!" "The attackers are being held there," Maya indicated the three bound men. "They are unarmed and restrained. There are no other active threats in the main lobby." A police officer approached cautiously. "Who are you?" "Nurse Maya Rodriguez. I work here." "You did this?" He looked at the three men, then back at Maya with obvious disbelief. "Alone?" "It seems so, officer." Before he could respond, someone else entered through the doors. A man in a dark suit, not hospital security, but someone else. He showed identification to the officers, who immediately retreated. Maya felt her stomach sink. She knew that man. "Petty Officer Rodriguez." Commander Torres crossed the lobby with measured steps. "Or should I say, Nurse Rodriguez, we need to talk. Now." "I'm no longer a petty officer at all," Maya replied, keeping her voice steady. "I was dismissed 3 years ago." "Dismissed, yes, but some commitments never truly end." Torres glanced around the lobby, observing everyone's shocked looks. "Especially when you've just publicly displayed classified skills. I saved lives, and in the process, violated at least 4 operational safety protocols." Torres lowered his voice, moving closer. "But I'm not here because of that. I'm here because 4 hours ago, we received intelligence that a rogue asset from Kandahar operations is in Chicago, and based on what I just witnessed, I think we just found our asset." Maya's blood ran cold. "Do you think I'm a dishonest agent?" "Not you." Torres handed her a tablet. On the screen was a picture of a man Maya recognized immediately. Amir, the translator from Kandahar. "Is he alive?" Maya whispered. "Very much alive. And very vengeful. Intelligence suggests he's coming after all the members of Bravo team from that mission." Torres held her gaze. "That means you, Maya. You're in danger. And based on your workplace, everyone else in this hospital is too." As if in vain, an explosion shook the building. The lights flickered, and everyone's cell phones in the lobby started ringing simultaneously with the same emergency alert. "Active threat at Chicago Memorial Hospital. Shelter on site. Active shooter confirmed. Multiple locations." Maya looked at Torres. "That was a distraction, and we fell for it perfectly." Another cell phone rang, this time Torres's. He answered, listened for a moment, and his face turned gray. "Multiple shooters confirmed on every floor. They've taken control of security. They've sealed off all the exits." He looked at Maya. "There are 6 men, highly trained, armed with military equipment. They are systematically patrolling every floor." "Looking for me," Maya said softly. "Looking for you. And they will kill anyone who gets in their way." From the hospital sound system, a voice with a familiar accent echoed, "Maya Rodriguez, I know you're here. I didn't come for the others. Only for you. Surrender, and I'll let the others live. You have 10 minutes." It was Amir, and he sounded like a man who had nothing to lose. Maya looked around the lobby, Jennifer holding a frightened patient, Brenda, for once completely vulnerable, Dr. Harrison trying to remain brave, and Mrs. Chen pushing her IV stand, her eyes meeting Maya's through the crowd. "You have something special," the woman's frail voice echoed in his memory. "I see." Maya made a decision. She turned to Torres. "How many agents do you have here?" "Just me. The rest of the team is 15 minutes away." 15 minutes. Maya took the service weapon from one of the nearby officers, checking the magazine with practiced movements. "A lot of people can die in 15 minutes. Rodriguez, you can't..." "Commander, with all due respect, I no longer work for you. But I work here." She looked at the frightened faces of her colleagues. "And I won't let these people die because of me." Brenda found her voice. "Rodriguez, do you really know what you're doing?" For the first time in 6 months, Maya looked directly into the veteran nurse's eyes without lowering her gaze. "Yes, Brenda. I know exactly what I'm doing." And with that, Maya Rodriguez stopped being the rookie nurse that everyone looked down on. She became what she always was, one of the most lethal operators the United States Navy had ever trained. "Attention," she said. her voice commanding like a military officer. "Everyone who can walk, move to the basement, the boiler room. It's the safest place in the building. Lock yourselves in there and don't come out for anything until the police give the clear signal." "And you?" Jennifer asked. Maya checked the weapon again, its movement so fluid it was almost mesmerizing. "I'm going to have a chat with old friends." She started walking towards the staircase, but Torres' voice stopped her. "Maya, that man in Kandahar, what you did, you followed orders. It wasn't your fault." Maya didn't turn around. "I know, Commander, but he doesn't believe it. And honestly, sometimes neither do I." And then she disappeared down the staircase, leaving safety behind and deliberately walking towards danger, because that's what the SEALs did. They ran towards the fire when everyone else fled from it. Maya climbed the stairs silently, each step measured and deliberate. 3 years of civilian life had weakened some reflexes, but the fundamental training remained, etched into her muscle memory so deeply that it could never be completely erased. Second floor. She pressed her body against the wall beside the door, listening. Muffled screams, the distinct sound of orders being shouted in Arabic, and then a gunshot. His heart raced, but his mind remained cool. Panic kills. Training saves. She opened the door slowly, just a crack. The hallway was empty, but she could see signs of a struggle. Overturned chairs, scattered papers, an abandoned stretcher. "Third room on the left." The whispered voice came from behind her. Maya turned, gun raised, but it was just Torres who had followed her upstairs. "The security camera system is still working on my phone. There's a shooter searching room by room." Maya took his cell phone, studying the grainy image. The man moved with military purpose, not the random cruelty of a mass shooter. He was looking for something specific, looking for her. "Stay here," Maya ordered. "I don't need you dying on my shift. Technically, you're not on duty. You were dismissed, remember?" Torres. "Besides," he interrupted, drawing his own weapon, "if you think I'm going to let one of my best operators do this alone, you don't know me very well." Despite everything, Maya almost smiled. "I'm no longer one of your operators. Once a SEAL, always a SEAL. Now stop arguing and let's save some civilians." They moved together with the synchronicity of seasoned partners, a lethal dance they had both performed hundreds of times in different distant lands. Maya took the leading position. Torres covered the rear. The third room on the left had its door ajar. Maya could hear heavy breathing inside. She signaled to Torres, a hostile, possibly hostage signal. Torres nodded. "Quick entry, low lethality protocol if possible." Maya counted, silently on her fingers. 3, 2, 1. She burst through the door, the gun tracking left to right in a clean arc. The shooter had his back to her, his weapon pointed at 2 terrified nurses huddled in a corner. "Tell me where Rodriguez is or I'll start shooting," he shouted. "Right here," Maya said calmly. The man turned, but Maya was already in motion. She kicked his gun up as he pulled the trigger, the shot piercing the ceiling. Her second move was a karate chop to the man's throat, strong, enough to incapacitate, not to kill. He fell, choking. Torres quickly handcuffed him with flex cuffs he had brought. "You too." Maya turned to the trembling nurses. She recognized them from the night shift. "Go down to the basement, now, and tell anyone you meet along the way to do the same." "Ari Rodriguez," one of them stammered. "How did you—" "They go." They ran. "1 down, 5 to go," Torres said, checking his cell phone. "But they know you're here now. They're converging on this position." "Good." Maya checked her ammunition. "Let them come." "Maya, you can't face 5 militarily trained tangos alone. Technically," she pointed out, "you're here, so I'm not alone." "You know what I mean." Maya moved toward the door, cautiously peeking down the hallway. "In Syria in 2019, I held a single position against 12 hostiles for 40 minutes until exfiltration arrived. 5 is manageable. You were also shot 3 times in that operation. All vests. I was fine." "Maya!" The sound of boots in the hallway cut through the conversation. Multiple hostile individuals, approaching quickly. Maya took her position behind the door, Torres on the other side. Quick sign language. She would shoot first, he would cover. The first two gunmen rushed in, expecting resistance from the captive hostage. Instead, they encountered Maya. She moved with brutal precision, a knee to the first man's stomach, followed by an elbow strike that sent him to the ground. The second managed to raise his weapon, but Torres fired first, a perfectly placed shot to the thigh that incapacitated him without killing him. 3 killed, Torres announced, but something was wrong. Maya felt it before she heard it, that tingling sensation in the back of her neck that all operators learn to rely on. "Ambush!" she yelled, pushing Torres aside. A hail of bullets pierced the wall where he had stood a second before. The third gunman had flanked him, appearing from a side exit that wasn't on. The hospital blueprints. Maya rolled, returned fire, forcing the sniper to take cover, but now they were trapped. Enemies in front and on the flanks, with no clear escape route. "We have to move!" Torres shouted over the sound of gunfire. "I agree!" Maya scanned the room. There was a ventilation opening in the ceiling, not large but perhaps sufficient. "There! You're kidding! Do you have a better idea?" More shots bombarded their positions. They were running out of time. Maya pushed a hospital bed under the ventilation opening, jumped on top and kicked the grate. She broke free on the third kick. "Go up!" she ordered Torres. "And you?" "I'll distract them. Then I'll go another way." "That's suicide. That's an order, Commander." The military tone was back, unquestionable. "Go into that duct and find a safe way for the civilians in the basement. This is more important than me." Torres hesitated, then nodded stiffly. 15 minutes. The full rescue team will arrive in 15 minutes. So I just need to survive for 15 minutes. Maya gave him a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I've done harder things before." She waited until Torres was in the duct, then did something completely insane. She emerged from behind cover, directly into the line of fire. "Amir!" she shouted. "I know you're listening. Do you want me? Here I am." The shooting stopped abruptly. For a moment, only silence. Then, that familiar voice echoed through the sound system. "Brava, Maya. Always so dramatic. Come to the 5th floor, ICU. Let's finish what we started in Kandahar, just you and me. No one else needs to die." It was an obvious trap. He would have the advantageous terrain, probably more men waiting. But it also meant that the other patients would be safe if she lured all the shooters to one location. "I'm going up," Maya replied. She moved toward the staircase, each sense hyper-alert. The 2 remaining snipers followed her at a cautious distance, weapons trained on. Her, but not firing. They wanted her to reach the 5th floor alive. This gave him an advantage, small but usable. The 5th floor was the quietest in the hospital. The ICU was always like that, a place of constant beeping machines and the labored breathing of critically ill patients. Now it was too quiet. Patients evacuated, Maya realized. At least Amir kept his word on that. She walked slowly down the central corridor, weapon at the ready in a low position. The hospital lights had been dimmed, probably Amir checking the electrical system. "You became a nurse." Amir emerged from the shadows at the end of the corridor. He looked older, scarred by war and betrayal. "After everything you've done, you chose to save lives. The irony is poetic, Amir." Maya kept her gun pointed at him but didn't shoot. "You don't have to do this." "I don't need to." He laughed bitterly. "You killed my family, Maya, my wife, my children. You called in that airstrike. It was bad intelligence. They said it was a Taliban safe house. They were civilians!" His voice broke. 6 people, including a 3-year-old child, and you blew them up because you followed orders without question. Maya felt the familiar guilt tighten her throat. "I know. God, Amir, I know. That's why I left. That's why I can't sleep at night. But killing more people won't bring them back. No." He raised his own weapon. "But it will give me peace." Time seemed to slow down. Maya saw her finger twitch on the trigger. She could shoot first, her reflexes were quicker, her training superior, but she didn't shoot, because part of her, the part that still woke up screaming from that mission, thought that maybe she deserved it. The gunshot echoed down the hallway, but it wasn't Amir's weapon. It was someone else firing from a side room, one of Amir's snipers, positioned as backup, and the shot missed Maya. Amir was right. He fell, his eyes wide with shock. Maya moved instantly, returning fire on the shooter as she rolled toward Amir. The shot had pierced his abdomen, serious, but not immediately fatal if treated. "No!" Amir choked, trying to push her away. "Let me die!" "Shut up!" Maya was already applying pressure to the wound, her nurse's hands taking control. "You won't die on my shift." "Why do you care? I came here to kill her." "Because—" Maya met his eyes, her voice fierce. "I already let you lose everything once. I'm not going to let you lose your life too." More shots rang out. The remaining gunmen were converging. Maya was exposed, vulnerable, one hand still applying pressure to Amir's wound. Then she heard the most beautiful thing in the world. "FBI, hands up!" Torres's response team had finally arrived. A dozen federal agents flooded the 5th floor, weapons drawn, moving with professional precision. The gunmen surrendered quickly when they realized they were outnumbered. "I need a doctor here," Maya shouted. "Abdominal gunshot wound, losing blood fast." Dr. Harrison, who apparently hadn't evacuated as he should have, rushed forward with a medical team. "We got him, Rodriguez. He needs surgery immediately." "I know." Harrison gently nudged her aside. "For once, let someone else do the job, okay?" Maya stepped back, her hands covered in Amir's blood, watching as they rushed him into surgery. Torres appeared beside him. "It's over. All hostiles in custody. 0 civilian fatalities. And Amir, the chance of survival is 50-50, according to Harrison. You got to him quickly." Maya looked at her trembling hands. "Not fast enough? You saved the life of a man who came here to kill you. That's—" Torres shook her head. "I don't even know what that is." "It's just being a nurse," Maya said softly. "We don't choose who to care for. We just care." From the hallway below, a wave of applause began. Patients, nurses, doctors, all those who had witnessed Maya's transformation from despised newcomer to heroine, were clapping. And in front of everyone was Brenda, tears streaming down her face, clapping louder than anyone else. Epilogue. New identity. 6 weeks later, Maya was back on the 4th floor of the Chicago Memorial, but everything was different now. "Nurse Rodriguez?" A young resident hesitated at the door of her office. Yes, office, because she was now the trauma coordinator, a position created specifically for her. "We have a situation in the emergency room, and Dr. Harrison specifically asked for you." "On my way." Maya stood up, checking her pager. As she walked down the hallways, colleagues waved and greeted her. Jennifer caught up with her, offering her coffee. "Great night?" "Not quite. Amir was finally discharged from the hospital yesterday." "For federal custody, right?" "Yes, but—" Maya smiled slightly. "Torres told me they're considering a deal, testifying against the cell he was working for in exchange for a reduced sentence and psychological treatment. He's finally talking about the trauma. That's more than he deserved. Maybe. But everyone deserves a second chance to heal." Brenda emerged from a patient's room, saw Maya, and genuinely smiled. "Rodriguez, I need your opinion on a trauma patient in room 412. "Sure, Brenda. Let's see." As they walked together, Brenda said calmly, "You know, I owe you an apology. A big one. Already forgotten." "No, it's not. I treated you terribly because—" Brenda paused. "Because you reminded me of myself when I started out. Young, capable, and I was jealous. So I turned it into meanness." Maya stopped, meeting the older woman's eyes. "Brenda, everyone deserves grace, even you." Brenda nodded, her eyes moist. "Thank you." Later that night, as Maya's shift ended, she found Mrs. Chen sitting in her wheelchair near the window, gazing at the Chicago skyline. "You're doing well," the old woman said without turning around. "Lighter now." Maya sat down beside him. How did you always know? Did you find out what? That there was more in me. Mrs. Chen, finally, looked at her, those old eyes full of wisdom. Because I see people, not masks. Everyone wears masks, but the eyes always show the truth. She patted Maya's hand. You wore a mask of fear, fear of being seen. Now you let it fall. It's better this way. Yes, it is, Maya agreed. Much better. Your phone vibrated. A message from Torres. Meeting on Thursday. Discussion about your future. Interesting options on the table. Maya typed back, thanks, but I'll pass. I've found my place. Torres replied immediately, in the ICU? In the ICU, Maya confirmed. Where she should be. She left the hospital that night with her head held high, greeting security guards by name, exchanging jokes with cleaners, and stopping to help a new nurse, a nervous girl who reminded Maya of herself 6 months ago. You'll do great, Maya said gently to the young woman. Just be yourself, and remember, everyone here is fighting their own battles. Be kind, work hard, and never let anyone make you feel small. The girl smiled gratefully. Thank you, Nurse Rodriguez. I've heard all the stories about you. You're a legend here now. Maya shook her head, laughing softly. I'm not a legend. I'm just a nurse doing my job. But as she walked to her car under the Chicago stars, Maya knew the truth. She was not just a nurse, and she wasn't just a former SEAL. She was both, and finally, that was okay. The two parts of her identity no longer needed to be at war. They could coexist, the warrior and the healer, the trained operator and the compassionate caregiver, because in the end, both versions of Maya Rodriguez existed for the same reason: to protect people who couldn't protect themselves, to stand up when others retreated, and to prove that strength isn't just about how hard you can hit. It's about how many times you choose not to reach it. It's about saving the life of someone who tried to take yours. It's about grace under pressure, and it's about being underestimated for so long that when you finally reveal yourself, the whole world stops breathing. Maya started the engine, letting the hospital disappear in the rearview mirror. She would return tomorrow. She would work shifts. She would save lives. And no one would ever underestimate her again. But more importantly, she would never underestimate herself again.